good morning. We're back for another week of our conversations with Mizzou wide receiver Mookie Cooper, hanging with Mookie Cooper every Tuesday for another month here, brought to you on Power Mizzou by the Bruning Law Firm. The Bruning Law Firm is a personal injury firm in St. Louis, started by a father and his two sons, all former Mizzou grads. They'll treat their clients like family while helping them recover and getting the compensation they deserve. If you were injured in an accident and you believe that you are owed a little bit of compensation, the Bruning Law Firm is the place you want to turn. You can find them at bruninglegal.com. 312-736-7643. You can also go to that website, bruninglegal.com, and schedule an online consultation. Their information and graphic is going to be in the corner of your screen throughout this show and every show that we've done. This is episode number 6 of 10. Certainly appreciate their partnership and appreciate Mookie talking with us every week. And let's get to it. Here's episode 6. All right, we bring Mookie Cooper in again for episode number 6, about halfway through spring football. And just before the show, we were actually recording this early in the morning because life of a college football player, up at 6 o'clock for meetings 3-4 days a week. That's not the part they tell you about during recruiting, is it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, well, appreciate you making time in and getting it done before a full day of class and practice and all that. But we're to the point where we're going to talk this episode about Mookie's first year in Columbia and at Mizzou, and finally getting back on the football field a little bit. So, Mookie, you get here, last spring, and just tell me what it was like, kind of second straight year getting into a new program and learning a new playbook, and how long it kind of took you to feel comfortable in Columbia.
When I first got here, it was kind of like, you get into a new program, but like I didn't kind of have to go through the phase of totally relearning a new offense or whatever, because it was like kind of the same formations. A lot of college football got the same plays or concepts. It's just different names kind of for the most part. So it was kind of just relearning names and signals was probably the hardest part or whatever. But as far as like adjusting and making friends or filling in with the teammate, it kind of happened pretty fast because there was a lot of guys I knew, or just like the team was just really accepting. Like there wasn't nobody like everybody was just pretty cool, I feel like so it was kind of a smooth transition. Drink made me feel like it was home. And it was just like, it was a pretty smoother transition to Mizzou than it was when I first got to Ohio State. Yeah. Probably already been through college and kind of knew what to expect, but I can't say that was smoother.
Yeah, and probably kind of helped that, hey, you're out there catching passes in spring football from Tyler Macon and running routes with Dominic Lovett. Like, this was just like being back in St. Louis for a little bit.
Thanks.
So you go through spring ball, and like when you go into fall camp, I mean, you haven't played a football game at this point in 2.5 years, something like that. What were your expectations for your first season at Missouri?
Man, going into fall camp, and my expectation, like I wanted to dominate. I ain't gonna lie, like I figured, like I had a real good spring ball, and then fall camp, and I was only practicing like for 4 days, I think, for fall camp before I got injured.
Right.
I was having some good days in fall camp. Like I was expecting like nothing too crazy, but like I wanted to most definitely make a name for myself and do some things out there on the field. That was kind of like the ceiling I had set for myself. But things, whatever, and yeah.
But before we get into going through the year and all that, I mean, look, we're a year removed from it now, so you can tell everybody. I mean, did that injury, was that with you all year? Were you ever really healthy last season?
I don't lie. I felt like I got most back to me probably like South Carolina game. Like I was probably like 98%. Like I was still like, I used to have like a real serious tape job or whatever. But like any small type of tweak, like if I stepped wrong, like it'll just be like I had to come right back out. Like some of the games last season, you would see like if I got tackled wrong on one play, when I came down, I had to come back out like, and it was just so much tape. I would think like I'd be good. Like when running straight line, like running a straight line, I was good. Like making a slight cut, I'm good. But it was like once it got to like game situations, like practice is different because we wasn't like trying to go actually kill each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? But when it was like when people were trying to come at you full speed and you trying to just cut without thinking or whatever, like that's when I used to have problems or whatever. But probably like South Carolina is when I was feeling most back to me towards the end of the season.
Yeah, when that happens in fall camp, I mean, you know, like we said, you hadn't been on the football field since you were a junior in high school, and you're coming here thinking, all right, this is all going to happen, and then the injury happens. I mean, what's just your immediate reaction those next couple days?
See me, like I'm just gonna be 100 since I've been honest on her. Like I was just thinking, like when it first happened, I'm like is football for me at this point? Like
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on? It was real like heartbreaking. I ain't gonna lie. It's like it just seemed like it was another reason. I was asking like, is God telling me I don't need to be playing? Like I just felt like it was just another setback, and then it kind of off my mental a little bit. Like it kind of changed how I used to sometimes come in a building. Like my body language be more mellow. Like I used to just walk around, kind of like to myself a little bit because it was, it was eating me up. I ain't gonna lie, but eventually I had some of the coaches they used to help me and talk to me through stuff and try to get me back to me. But it took a toll on me though when it first happened.
What's the, and I understand it's different with every injury, but we don't know a lot about injury information, which I understand why, but what's that process like of, going in for treatment every day and then kind of the decision of, hey, I'm good to go or I'm not good to go. I mean, how many conversations are there? And ultimately I assume it's up to pretty much you and the doctors. Hey, I think I can do this or not.
Yeah, it's for sure up to you because it's your body or whatever. They just kind of like give you the guidelines or whatever they think you should or give you some advice or whatever. But it's hard because it's like when I was going through my situation, it'd be times where it's like I was so eager to come back, even for like the first game. Like I was so eager just to come back. And it was like sometimes I got a lot of myself and it was like I knew I didn't feel all the way right. And they'll ask me like, do you feel good? But it was like I just wanted to play so bad. I'm like, I'm good. Then I go out there and we tweak it, get back mad at myself, like I should have stayed out. But then it's like part of me was like, I didn't want to be looked at as soft, like, or when I be going through, sometimes I have to miss practice or whatever. It was like, I ain't want to be looked at as soft. So I'd be it was time to practice. I'd be trying to keep going and drink, or somebody would notice me like start limping or like just start noticing, they have to pull me out of practice because it's like, I just couldn't perform for real. But it's hard just making the right decision on either putting aside your pride of wanting to play versus keeping yourself healthy. Like that's probably one of the biggest decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. That is that first game, the Central Michigan game. Do you remember kind of the feeling of, hey, running out of the tunnel and, you make your first, I mean, obviously not a huge day, but you made your first 4 college catches and just kind of what the emotion was that day?
Yeah, I was super nervous. Like the catches I had, like that whole week of practice, like I knew I was limited. I knew with like I've been catching those balls, like it was easy balls or whatever. But for some reason, when I got on the field, like I was just sweating super hard and just super nervous. I don't know why. It seemed like the ball was coming way slower, but it was fun though. It was just real nerve-wracking because it was like first game. I haven't caught an in-game pass in a long time. Then now it's with a whole bunch of fans. It was COVID, barely people in the stands. This almost like a real life football right here now.
I know like a lot of guys when they come back after a long layoff, being hurt, whatever it was, they say like you don't really feel like you're there till you take that first hit, right?
Yeah.
So you go through practice, and I understand there's tackling in practice sometimes, but it's not crazy anymore. So you get in there, you take that first hit. Did you kind of think, okay, I remember what this is like now?
Exactly how it is. I got up. I'm like, all right, this cool. It's cool. All right, it's football. It's football.
Yeah, yeah. And then through the early part of the season, like we really saw the coaches trying to find a bunch of different ways to get you involved. And I remember you were saying during the recruiting process, they all said, "Hey, you're a unique guy. We got different ways to use you." But jet sweeps and all these different things that really are kind of newer to college football. Or, are you? I mean, do you view yourself more as, hey, like, I could be a traditional wide receiver? Do you like being kind of that weapon that you can be used a bunch of different ways?
I like it. I ain't gonna lie, because it's like I like it as more as a full healthier me, because obviously it just makes you more useful. Like, you know what I'm saying? You go out and do some jets or whatever, but also you don't know if you can go run a route or whatever. It just being any way to be on the field for real. That's why I like it. And so it was like last year was just the jets and the sweeps and stuff. It was more because that kind of my situation based. So it was like, you know what I'm saying? Some routes I couldn't run, certain routes sticking off a certain foot or whatever, like rolling off of my foot on my ankle or whatever would hurt sometimes. So like they were trying to make sure I can get the ball where I can get the ball and me do something with it that I could. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want me to go out there running a 10-yard out route and then fall over when they throw the ball.
Right. Right. So is Central Michigan's your first game? That's at home and all that. And then, I might be asking you to kind of think back to some things that you have a hard time remembering, but game 2 is at Kentucky. And man, that place on TV looked like it was pretty wild. Like, that's not a place that holds 100,000 fans, but it looked pretty wild. So kind of first road game in the SEC. Is that one where you look at and go, all right, man, this is kind of what I hoped it was going to be?
Loudest game I ever played in. Like,
yeah.
And that game was super fun because, he was going back and forth like that, how close the game was. But that most definitely was one game where I'm like, yeah, this big boy football right here. Because they fans are super loud. I ain't gonna lie. They fans were super loud.
Yeah.
Then they're all white. So it was like, it was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. That game was turn.
Yeah. I know fans always like night games better because, like, they got all day to get ready. What about you guys? When do you want to play?
I'd rather, like, night games fun because they at night, but I ain't gonna lie, I'd rather play earlier or around like 2, because then it's like you sitting around the hotel all day, you got meetings. It's a lot more just sitting down, you gotta wait on the game all day, you know what I'm saying? So I'd rather like get up, get my day going early or whatever, get fired up early, then just go hit the field.
Yeah. Coaches have always told me, like, a night game on the road is the worst thing ever, because you get in there Friday and then you got, like, you're just in the hotel for like 30 hours. Like, you can't really go anywhere. You can't do much. You're just sitting there like watching ESPN in your room.
All it is, man. So
yeah. So you guys come back home. You had a pretty good day against SEMO. You caught 4 passes for 65 yards. And are you thinking at that point, hey, okay, I'm healthy, I'm kind of rolling, and did you expect it to kind of take off from there, or did you kind of know still, hey, I'm not quite there?
No, I still knew, because it was like I literally, like, even sometimes even after games, like my foot would get so sore or whatever afterwards. So like I could have a game where I didn't play then, but like the next day it could be back hurting, then I had to like sit out a couple of days and practice the next week or whatever. So like even still then, I didn't even get myself hyped up because I still would have some pains. Like I had been shot or whatever. I just got this shot in my foot, but it was like if I had a full week of practice or whatever and no pain, then I would know that I was coming back. And that's kind of what happened towards the end of the season. But it was like at the beginning of the season, after each game, like I'm right back in the training room. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of off thing consistently.
What is, and not just for you, but for other guys, like, look, everybody says by like week 6, nobody's healthy, right? Everybody's got something going on. So what is that process like to get ready starting Sunday morning to go out and do that all again, 6 days later?
But it's just a want, bro. That's like we kind of know what we signed up for. We know what's all gonna come with it, but it's like you just gotta find that extra hunger. And like we use a word called straining. You know what I'm saying? Straining is like just going that extra mile, doing that extra, just doing a little more or whatever. So it's like your body gonna be hurting, whatever. You got all these excuses, but it's college football, it's the SEC. You gotta get up and do the same thing over and over, day in, day out.
I've always thought the worst part of what you guys do for rehab and recovery and stuff has got to be getting in those ice tubs, man. Like
Facts.
that's got to be the worst feeling you've
Facts.
ever had.
It is the worst feeling I ever had. Like, man, I was probably the worst at getting in the cold tub because it's like they used to have to hold me down in the cold. First got to school at Old State, like, because it was like I just put my feet in, and they had to push you all the way down just to hold you in and keep me in. But it was crazy, though. You get used to it.
Yeah, I remember like after fall camp, there would be dudes that jump in there and like they just hang out in there for 10 minutes. I guess at some point you just go numb.
You gotta jump in. That's just to get it over with. When you ease in slow, you just start to feel it all. You feel it all. You feel it all. When you jump
Yeah.
in, boom.
You were out there still getting on the field for I think about 5 weeks, and after the North Texas game, you missed the next 2 or 3. Did you guys just hit a point where you just said, man, nothing's going to fix this except just shutting it down for a couple weeks? Is that what happened?
Basically, that's what came to it because it was like every time I say I'm feeling good, I go out and do a little more. It kind of took me a little step back. So it was like I had to end up getting a shot, and it was like the only way it really worked is when you got time off or whatever. I think this probably around getting close to the bye week, kind of. Maybe it was around I had got a shot, but yeah, it was just like getting time off and just letting it fully heal because they said everything was healed up, like it was stable, but it just wasn't back strong enough. Basically, that was like the basic point. Like it wasn't all the way strong. Everything was kind of intact, but it was just so weak because it had been just messed up or whatever. But at that point, it was just needed for a time off.
Yeah. So your first game back where you get on the field is, I mean, no big deal at Georgia, right? Number one team in the country. People are talking about this might be the best defense in like modern college football. So I know you guys are trained to tell us like, hey, every game's just a game, and they put their uniforms on and stuff like that. But is that one that like whether it's during the week or maybe when you walk out there, Sanford Stadium got 94,000 people that everybody's kind of like, oh, this is a little bit different.
Yeah, in fact, everybody knows it was different. Like it's no matter whatever they tell you, everybody knows it's different. You got to come with a whole different mindset as far as preparation for practice. Coming in, you got to have a whole different mindset for however you feel in your body, anything, because that game's gonna be physical. It's gonna be fast. So it's like you can't come in with the same mindset or the same however you was coming in and getting prepared for Georgia because they is the number one team. They not just anybody else. So you most definitely with a whole new mental.
So that same game, your starting quarterback's not playing, right? So you got Tyler gets the start, Brady Cook really getting the first meaningful snaps of his career. So what are the rest of you guys who are a little more experienced kind of telling those guys leading up to that one about hey, what they're about to get into and taking over the team on the road at the number one team in the country?
But just stay calm. Like, don't try to do nothing too much. Don't try to do nothing too crazy. Just stay calm and be. That was kind of the main message throughout the whole week for them because, like you said, it was their first snaps for the most part. Kind of you just gotta stay calm. And teams like that, you don't want to try to do too much out of the ordinary because you do. You know what I'm saying? They'll pick up on it. You just want to do whatever you're good at and stick to it for the most part with teams like them. But this kind of was the main thing. Make sure they stay poised.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, you've known Tyler for a long time, so he walks out there, walks into the huddle on that first drive. Like, did he seem like he took your advice to staying calm, or could you tell there's a little? Okay, here we go.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I could tell he was probably nervous, but I'm just knowing he probably was just like, but I mean, when he got out there after his first play, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like he was good, like he was kept feeling himself a little bit. So, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't nothing noticeable though, where he was just looking nervous as hell now.
Right. I got you. Then the next game was kind of a big moment for you against South Carolina. You caught 3 passes for 72 yards. You scored your first college touchdown. I mean, what's that feeling?
Hey, yo, I was turned, man. We went to the sideline though. I swear, I was literally telling him, I'm like, I can't even breathe for real. My heart was beating so fast, like for like the next 5 minutes on the sideline. My heart would beat so fast because it was like, because I kind of had one against North Texas, but they called it back.
Right.
This one like stood, like this was an official touchdown. Like I couldn't even believe it. Like, and I was straight mad afterwards because it's like I used to score touchdowns all the time. Why was I so shocked? But it was like so unreal. I ain't gonna lie, it was so unreal.
Well, and I remember, I can't remember which game it was, but when Dominic scored his first touchdown, you know, and like the first one's a little bit different, right? Because everybody knows that's the first one you scored, and everybody's coming off the bench celebrating with you and all that, and I'm sure your family after the game is all fired up about it.
Thanks, bro. I'm telling you that after that we was turned. Like I'm just gonna leave it at that. We was turned.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, obviously you don't do it during the game, but like maybe later that week or anything. I mean, you're talking about, hey, you had some tough times at Ohio State. You had a time in Missouri where you're going, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Is that kind of a week where you go, all right, man, now this was all worth it. Now I kind of remember what I was doing this for.
Facts. That was most definitely like the one. I'm like, I gotta get in that zone all the time. Like I need to make a normal thing. That was kind of like that switch where like I need to get back to me type deal.
Yeah, and I mean, even better, I'm sure that it happens in a win. You know that you guys really needed at that time because like you want to celebrate your first touchdown, but like if it comes in that Georgia game and you get beat 34-7, it feels a little bit different.
That most definitely would have been different.
Yeah. So, you know, you guys, second half of the season, obviously, then you guys you go beat Florida, and it just I want to ask you kind of a team moment there. Had you been involved in a game before that where like literally your team won the game on the last play of the game?
No, every close game I didn't end up losing it. So like that was like a huge moment too. I already said that was like my best college moment so far, winning that.
Yeah. Do you remember like when Parker caught that ball? Do you remember like what you did, or did you just kind of lose your mind?
A whole time after the game, it was so many fans kind of by the block, or whatever. We was just all over there taking pictures. Like it was just crazy. Like I'm talking about the moment when they snapped the ball, everybody just quiet, just like looking at the field, like just trying to see. And when Bays was kind of falling back, we like, what is he doing? He falling. And DP caught the ball. It was crazy.
Yeah. Then you know, you guys finish out obviously tough loss to Arkansas, tough loss to Army, and then finally, hey, you've been in the grind of this thing for like by that point 4.5 months. You know, how long does it take you to just kind of how long after the season do you just chill and relax, and how long does it take you to recover from it?
I probably ain't do nothing for like the first 3 days for real. After I went back to the crib in St. Louis, I probably do nothing for like the first 3 days. But it's like when you just sitting there, like I just start feeling like worthless a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, I felt like it's like you so used to just training or working out so much. When I was just sitting around, it's like, what am I doing? I start feeling like I was getting fat already. Like I start feeling lazy or whatever. So I ended up getting back to it. But probably like the first 3 days I was chilling just with the fam and just kicking it.
Yeah. Just want to ask you then kind of a couple of big picture things about your first year to finish up. I mean, when you look back on your first year, like what do you think about it? I mean, obviously a few high points. I know you had bigger expectations, but kind of what's your thoughts when you look back on your first year, considering you battled injury and hadn't played in so long?
I mean, I think it was a cool first good year or whatever. I think it was kind of like, you know what I'm saying, a cool learning gauge just to see how it was, get back to football. I think my biggest takeaway was I think I needed to focus on how do I address issues or like injuries or whatever, and how my mindset about how I go about it or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? I said I had days where I can go into rehab, like not fully into it or whatever. But when things happen, I just need to come with the same energy, same mindset before things were bad or whatever. But, for the most part, I think it was a cool year, a lot to build off of. But you know what I'm saying? It was all right to me.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from that year was just every game going, well, I don't know. I guess Tyler Beatty's going to get 55 carries this week. Maybe it'll be 60. I mean, what was it like watching that kid do what he did last year?
Dude was a dog, man. It was like, you know what I'm saying? See, Beatty, like, he a real goofy dude. So, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people for the season. Yeah, I didn't know Beatty. Like, I didn't know how much I didn't know what he really did or whatever. But, like, he a real goofy dude, playful dude. But it's like, he go on the field every week and he handle business. Like, no matter what it was, when they got time to go in between those lines, he had like a whole nother switch. And it was like, he the real deal. But he carried us on his back a whole bunch last year. So he must definitely the real deal for that.
Yeah, I know wide receivers always want the ball, but at the same time, like, hey, sitting there watching dude, you know, second in the country and rushing and whatever. And as long as it's working, I guess nobody cares.
Gotta feed him. I ain't never been a hater. So it's like, if it's working, why stop
it? Yeah. Then last thing, just kind of a team thing. When you look back at last year on the offense, I mean, first half of the season pretty good, even in the losses. You know, you guys put up a lot of points at Kentucky, and then the switch kind of flipped in the second half. Your defense started to figure it out, and the offense seemed to kind of hit some rough patches. Did you guys, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the offseason has been spent on, okay, what went wrong and what do we need to fix? So what do you guys need to do better to obviously not have what happened at times in the second half happen?
I think we need to just be a more physical team in general, because then I feel like that'll open up a lot more other stuff as far as on the perimeter, as far as on the online or whatever, anything, just being more physical, that'll make teams kind of respect us more or whatever. In the run game, that could open up the pass game or whatever. But it's like just being physical and fighting for more. Like strain, I'm telling you, strain just been a big thing for us. So if we learn to strain more and not just do what's expected for the 5 seconds of a play and going the extra 2 seconds until the whistle fully blown or whatever, that'll just take our team to the whole next step. So for right now, we're just trying to do a little bit more. That's all that is.
Yeah, I got you. Well, good deal, man. Appreciate you kind of looking back at year one with us, and we'll catch up again next week. But thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. See you guys.
That is Mookie Cooper, episode 6, Hanging with Mookie Cooper, now in the books. We've got 4 more to go. Here in a couple weeks, we're going to give Mookie the week off for spring break, but at least this week and I think next week we'll have shows, and then we'll finish up after he gets his break. Once again, this show brought to you every single week by the Bruning Law Firm, a personal injury firm in St. Louis. Founded and run by a father and his 2 sons, all Mizzou alums, big supporters of the Tigers and also of PowerMizzou.com. If you have need for their services, you can find out more information and get in touch with them at bruninglegal.com, B-R-U-N-I-N-G. That is the Bruning Law Firm in St. Louis, Missouri, your personal injury firm in St. Louis, and really for all Mizzou fans, we hope. Also want to remind you, on Thursday mornings, we will have the Touchdown Luther Burden Show. That debuted last week, episode 1. Episode number 2 then is coming up this Thursday, because that is how numbers and counting work. So appreciate you guys joining us. Appreciate, as always, Mookie Cooper taking some time to chat with me every single week, and we'll be back next week with episode 7.